Hello, so this is the second part of the intro for AutoCAD. So we were pretty much in this atmospherical CAD world with the layers, property manager that you can close, press LA spacebar or enter, which is the same, and it pops out, close again. You can press this little button here and you just get the same panel. Remember also Control 1 to get the properties. I think that's quite straightforward. You can create layers, and once you can manage the layers from the properties managers to create layers, eliminate, change colors, and say I want to print it, I don't want to print it by pressing it in this spot. But if you're not creating more layers or you have them defined already, the colors, so you will not need that. Usually you will pretty much play with what's going on here. So you start drawing in this layer one, just by clicking on this tab and saying and moving your cursor to the layer, pressing it, and drawing that layer. You can also turn off directly over here, or lock, or what is called freeze. You can freeze some layers, which is the same as turning on and off in the second way, etc, etc, etc. Okay, the top ones, options here, those are the ones that we use to know as express tools that are now common, basically ways of playing around with layer management. First one is important. You can turn off a complete layer. That layer, you can turn off a green layer. Pressing Ctrl C afterwards, you can turn off this, and this. When the lay on is turn all the layers on. Which is useful. If you want to turn off a layer, but you are in that layer, how do you know you're in that layer? You have the layer here, or if you press LA enter, you have the green check here. That means that you're in that layer. Whatever you do it in that layer. In terms of creation, if you try to turn off that layer, you will be green. Layer 3 is current. Do you want to turn it off? Yes or no? You can say yes by pressing Y and enter, or no. You say no. Just advise you or recommends you to be aware, makes you aware of the layer you're in. Simple. Okay, let's go to the transformation options, which is basically we create, we draw, by the way we have other options here, or we modify, or I call it transform thing that we have created. Okay, let's go to the basic ones. Move. You can press the button, select something, press enter, move from one point to another. The shortcut being M, enter. You can select again. You can press enter right button, and you can move from one point to another. Remember that right button to repeat last command, or enter to repeat last command. It's only possible if you type option in the command, press enter, and you make sure that the shortcut menus in there now is checked, and that after pressing right click customization you have all these guys in the first, basically repeat last command when right click, repeat last command when right click in edit mode. And if I press right, I want to make it be an enter. Okay, apply and close and okay, and that's gonna work much faster for me. Other ways to do it, other things to do. Copy, press that, select, enter from here to here. Okay? Copy, we use by default CO, enter, select, enter from here to here. By default, AutoCAD allows you to copy many times. Very convenient for whenever you have an to do is repeated, such as lines and plan, etc. Stretch is it's a little different. Let me explain first what is this idea of getting the parts of an object. If you select an object, this happens. These blue points, dots appear. I can select those blue points and just transform directly that object in different ways depending on what point I select and drag around. So for the line is 3 points, the ending point and the center point. For the circle is 4 plus the center. If I select the center, I move the whole circle. If I select the sides, I move the circle radius. The arcs, similar way, similar way, similar way. Different objects have different ways of changing the object by selecting its subparts. Okay, that makes sense. So stretch that comes along is how can I select one of those points intuitively by always selecting from top right to bottom left. Let's say I'm trying to select this blue point that is, I know it's there, and I want to stretch this. If I press stretch, do not select anything, there's nothing to stretch. If I select stretch, press in the middle, there's nothing to stretch. I have to select the ending point, enter, and stretch it. Same way for the arcs, I could select the ending point and stretch it. So it's convenient. Imagine we have a rectangle. Let's say rectangle. I draw a rectangle here, and I stretch not only one but two of those imaginary points. I press F8 for ortho, and I can stretch entirely a whole object. Remember, I select, I can see those points, there they are. Or I can stretch this one, this direction. Stretch is very useful. Okay, rotate, quite straightforward. Select an object, enter, and then we can manually, now I'm in ortho, that's why the rotation is 90 degrees, which could be very convenient often. I press F8, and there's no ortho now, I'm rotating freely 360 degrees. Escape to get out of that command, and escape is very useful. And I'm going to rotate now in a different way. I'm going to say from this middle point, and I don't want freely, I want to have a reference. If you see the sub options, R is reference, and allows me to introduce several points. Again, reference point, point to reference first, and second point to reference. So it makes that rotation referential. Okay, good. That's a good one to know. Mirror. I can select a circle and create a plane. This line that I'm creating is the reference plane for the mirror plane. Okay, so whatever I do in the center, it creates a mirror according in regards or respect or relationship to that mirror plane. Okay, let's make it more obvious so you can see. I'm going to create a plane by the way it's PL, enter. I create a plane by the way polyline versus many lines. It seems like not existence, there's no difference, but if I select, I cannot select the whole thing. So I select one, it's the whole thing. I can go from one to another one, of course, by explode, and now it's a bunch of lines, not a polyline. The same way I can go from the lines, say join, and I have now the polyline. Useful because if I go now to the offset, which is over here, offset or O, I can say give me an offset of this curve 1 unit or 1 inch in this case. If I select this, it creates an offset. This an offset circle to the center. I'm pressing first the object and then second in what side I want to offset it to, a number u of 1, okay, a distance of 1. So if I have a polyline and I say O, which is the offset shortcut, then I say 0.5. I select instead of a line, a polyline, select the whole thing. I want to offset to this side. The whole thing is offsetted. There you have the main difference between polyline and line. No? Quite straightforward. Again, offset I can do it for any shape that I want. Okay, cool. Fill it. Let's delete these guys. Pressing delete after selecting. Fill it. It's the curve. The symbols are very useful. So it's the curve that is generated between two lines that in a specific area can or will touch. Okay, so for example, create two lines. These two are going to touch each other, so I can do a fillet of those two. Now the fillet normally is with the radius, but if radius is equal to 0, it says connects. Let's go again to fillet or the shortcut F and press R, sub option R, enter. That means that I can introduce a curve, a fillet curve. Let's say 0.5. There we go, curve. I can enter to repeat last command, curve. Now you may use F, enter, radius R, and press 10. Let's try to do it between these two. Oops, no, it says radius is too large. We have to be careful. If the radius is too large, you won't do it, obviously. Okay, fillet. I think it's clear. Again, if they're not touching, but they are at some point, you can do a fillet radius 2, and those two will connect on the far end. So it's convenient to use that also radius 0 to connect them in whatever point they connect. Useful, very useful. Extend. I'll finish with this with the transformation tools and trim. There's two options here. Trim. First, you select trim, select the object that is, you can think of it as the scissors, or the object that cuts, enter, and then the part you want to cut. Okay, I'm going to Ctrl C, go back, PR is the shortcut for trim, select the object you want to cut, this one, enter the part you want to cut, that one. Extend, S-E-X is the shortcut, or you can go to extend, you select the object that you want to extend an object to, enter, and then the area of the object that you want to extend, this area, and it goes right here. I'm going to leave it here. I hope this was useful. The next step is going to be more the printing again, as I said, so that's important regarding paper model, these two tabs here. Okay, so leave it there.